Hey, I'm Jana, the little sister.
And I'm Jeff, her big brother. Welcome to Sibling Rivalry, a podcast about our favorite sport, baseball.
This week on Sibling Rivalry Baseball, we take a trip to the Fields of Dreams, one in Dyersville, Iowa, and the other in Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Wow, this transcendental meditation stuff really works. Now, let's become one with the SRBB headlines.
J.R. Smith, the two-time NBA champion with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Los Angeles Lakers, is going back to school. Smith, 35, is enrolled at North Carolina A&T State University, but the real story isn't his enrollment, but his petition to the NCAA to play golf at North Carolina A&T. He has petitioned the NCAA to be eligible to play, but it's not clear on how long that process will take. According to NCAA rules, an individual shall not be eligible for intercollegiate athletics in a sport if the individual ever competed on a professional team in that sport. It does not ban a former professional athlete from competing in a different sport.
Going back to college. In a story that overshadowed the Olympics in Tokyo and the rest of the world's most played sport was rocked when it was announced that Lionel Messi would not return to FC Barcelona, a team that he's been linked to since he was 13. The 34-year-old Messi wanted to stay with Barcelona, even willing to take a 50% pay cut, but was unable to come to terms on a new contract. So he found his way to Paris. That's what you do. You go to Paris, where he signed a 2-year deal with an option for a third with Paris Saint-Germain. Messi will make $41 million per year after taxes plus bonuses. He won't, however, be wearing number 10, as that number belongs to his new teammate and soccer superstar, Neymar.
The T206 Honus Wagner baseball card again became the most expensive sports card when it sold for $6.6 million at auction on Sunday. The winning bid easily bested the previous record of $5.2 million, which was jointly held by Mickey Mantle and LeBron James's rookie cards. The card was originally printed between 1909 and 1911 and came with American Tobacco Company packs of cigarettes. Nicknamed the Flying Dutchman, Wagner is widely considered one of the greatest players of the early baseball era. He played shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates from 1897 to 1917, during which time he won 8 batting titles, a record that still stands to this day. In 1936, he became one of the first 5 players nominated to the Baseball Hall of Fame.
It took 8 months and a gaggle of guest hosts, including Packers quarterback, even if he doesn't want to be, Aaron Rodgers, to finally find a new host to replace the legendary Alex Trebek on Jeopardy! Longtime game show veteran and Jeopardy! Executive producer Mike Richards will assume daily hosting duties, while Blossom and Big Bang Theory star, and not to mention neuroscientist, Mayim Bialik, will host special events like the National College Championship. Richard's selection has been met with a large amount of controversy from the Jeopardy! Faithful and others who don't believe he can or should try to fill the shoes of Alex Trebek. Well, guess what? Nobody can fill his shoes. You can find these and past week's headlines on our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. Remember to rate and subscribe wherever you listen, and tell a friend to listen to the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
We love our listeners. We want you to download and listen to the podcast and share it with others. We just ask you to acknowledge Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast as the source of the material. Please do not, except with our express written permission, distribute or commercially misuse the content.
A lot of things that have never happened before, a few things that have happened but not in a while, and a few things that happen all the time happened this last week in baseball. But before we get to those, we got a little groundskeeping to do. A couple things that we forgot about last week that we wanted to take care of today. Number one, we didn't mention the punishment for the Atlantic League if you choose not to throw from the mound at 61 feet 6 inches.
Yeah, if a player chooses not to play, they will be barred from playing in any MLB organization or MLB partnership league. So, yeah.
You could end your career simply by not throwing a foot farther.
Exactly. Now, there was a grace period, but it wasn't a very long grace period. And this is all according to Indie Ball. But they could go to another team or try something, but it had to be a straight trick in another league. Right. But it couldn't be like a player to be named later. It just had to be, you just go.
Right. It had to be an apple for an apple.
Exactly.
If you were a Fuji apple, you had to be traded for another Fuji apple. It couldn't be a Gala. It couldn't be a standard red or green apple. It had to be like terms, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't heard or seen that anyone refused to play. So
I wonder why they felt like they had to. I guess there was probably a lot of complaining as it was getting closer to time. And they was like, I was just watching 8 Men Out the other day, and shoeless Joe Jackson tells the manager he doesn't want to play. And he's like, "You'll play, Jackson. You'll play," is what he told him. And that's what's going on here. That's what they did. Kid Gleason came back from the dead and told him, "You'll play, whatever your name is. You'll play."
Right. The MLB had a hologram of him.
Oh, right. Yeah, because you could do that now. Ghost starting. What does that do for Ghost?
It puts them out of business.
Now that you can have holograms, you don't have to wait for the ghost of whatever to show up.
No.
You can just force the issue with a hologram.
Exactly.
Another thing that we missed, Ramon Laureano of the Oakland A's. Yeah, he's not going to be around for the rest of the season.
No, he's been suspended for 80 games without pay after testing positive for nandrolone. Probably did not say that right, but it is a banned performance enhancing substance. Of course, he says that if he had known, he would have never taken it, or there was something going on, but he had already appealed, and that appeal has been denied. And so he's now serving 80 games. He will miss the remainder of the season. So there's the A's have 53 games left, or at the time they had 53 games left. But he will also miss about 20 some odd games next season also.
I just accidentally, I went to get a coffee and they must have put it into my coffee. It was a fan from another team.
The barista
was an Asterix fan.
Right.
And they want us to lose out because they want the Asterix to go to the playoffs. I
imagine the barista with one of those rings, those big rings, and it has the stuff in it, and they open it.
Open it and dump it in and then close it back up.
That's right.
Look around. Yeah, that I'm sure that's what it was.
That's what happened.
There's a random barista in Oakland. All right. One more thing we're not going to get into, but just this week, Trevor Bauer's hearing actually taking place. There was a request for a continuance, but it was denied. So things are moving forward. We'll have more information about that next week. And we'll talk about another guy who's gotten himself into in name only situation, similar situation. And we'll talk about him when we get to around the league. Dodgers, Angels, highlights and lowlights coming up. But right now, I wish we had some dream music to throw in here. So just that dream music they play on TV when somebody goes into a dream on like a sitcom. Imagine that in your head. And then imagine the theme from that one main theme song in Field of Dreams. Kevin Costner says, "I've created something totally illogical," as he stands out, the money shot, as they say, as he got the big Iowa sky behind him at dusk. And let's talk about what happened in Dyersville, Iowa, just this last week.
So it was really a cool game. the field is awesome. And then when you look aerial, you see the movie, where they filmed the movie. But as I was watching it, Kevin Costner comes walking out of the corn and he's looking around. And that seemed like it took an eternity. I was like, is he lost? Does he not know where he is? Why is he walking like all over? Why did they make it was awkward?
Well,
and they played that
carrying
music.
A ball.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe he was going to go out to the mound, throw out the first pitch, or set the ball down there so that they could come out and play. But he didn't say anything. He just wandered around like he was in a daze.
It was weird. And then after it seemed like 30 minutes, the players came out of the cornfield, and seeing Aaron Judge was really cool. He's a big guy, but seeing them come out, that gave me goosebumps, and I got a little teary-eyed, I will say, because that was just really cool. I didn't need Kevin Costner.
Really great moment.
Walking.
Yeah, whatever happened with that was the nice thing though. Whatever Kevin Costner did was kind of erased in that moment. You forgot about it because when the players came out, and I know that they said that they built the stands on the third base side went farther down into the outfield, was so that when you looked out from that angle, you could see over to where the movie field was. And there wasn't a single person that didn't say something about feeling just an overall like feeling in their whole body of someone couldn't even explain it, like I can't right now, of what it was like to be there. The umpire who was behind home plate was from Iowa. And the umpire who wanted to do it, and they were all wearing, I can't remember his name, they were all wearing a patch that had said EC on it. And it was for that umpire who was from Iowa, who in 2015 was part of everything when they started building this up to get that field built to do this game. He wanted the home plate umpire to be from Iowa.
Yeah, Eric Cooper is his name.
Right. And he and while he couldn't be there because sadly he's passed away, the guy who was there behind the plate was from Iowa. And they said 90 minutes before the game, he was over on the other field with his dad and his brother playing catch.
Okay. Did he say, hey, let's play catch? Or did he say, have a catch?
I don't know what they say in Iowa.
I don't know either.
Apparently the have a catch or play catch, have a catch is what was in the book. And that's why that's what's used in the movie. But Kevin Costner said it was an East Coast thing. I didn't spend enough time on the East Coast. My time of living on the East Coast was in Virginia. Is that really considered the East Coast, or is that considered the South?
Oh, yeah.
Especially because we lived down in Southeast Virginia.
And I lived on the East Coast, but I don't remember ever hearing anyone say.
You never said, Planet Head, have a catch?
No.
And he probably would have looked at you like, what? Catch what? A cold?
Yeah, that was the back and forth. I think there were multiple. Yeah, and there were multiple polls. What do you say? And I think majority of people say, play catch. Hey, now let's play catch.
Here's what I wonder about it. Now the game itself, I don't know if it was the setting that made the game. The game was good. Don't get me wrong. If you'd have watched this anywhere else, it still would have been a good game. It did get into a spot in the middle where it was just any other baseball game, but you stayed with it because, number one, the fans there don't get baseball. They're blacked out from everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised they didn't let them into the stadium and then cover them with, big dark curtains all across the stands. You can't really watch this game because it's blacked out.
Where the netting is
The
just a
netting,
black
they just drop curtains. The White
curtains.
Sox, you can listen to it because that's not a blackout thing. But the
Yeah.
White Sox are blacked out in Iowa.
Yep.
So there was just something about, especially how it all ended with Tim Anderson hitting the walk-off. Jose Abreu hits the very first home run ever in Iowa and into that cornfield by a major leaguer.
Yep.
The Yankees are the only team in Major League Baseball to have ever lost in Iowa. They're 0-1 in Iowa.
In Iowa. Yeah. I think, the whole setting was really cool. The uniforms, the throwbacks, really cool. Viewership for this game was an average of 5.9 million viewers across TV and streaming. It was the most viewed MLB regular season game since 2005. So they need to be doing more of this.
Wow. Yeah.
But don't mess it up.
They're going to overdo it because they said we're coming back to Iowa. Let's not make this an every year thing because this was super special. MLB can mess things up. They got this one right.
They did finally got something right. Yeah. I don't think it should be every year. Like, if it's just every couple of years, I don't know how many. It'd be like the Olympics every 4 years.
I just don't. You don't want it to be. It's going to become a yearly thing probably, but you just don't want it to become like, oh yeah, same place, same thing.
Yeah,
it's like the one game that they play. And we'll talk about this a little bit more, but in Williamsport, they started with two teams, two major league teams come and play in Williamsport during the Little League World Series. And that's one game in a special time of year. It would be like having a couple of major league teams go to the College World Series and play, one game somewhere in the middle there, little things like that. And I did read somebody said, maybe this is what you need to do. Find other unique locations, have two teams play one series in places that they don't have baseball. Go to Montana, find someplace there, spruce it up, bring baseball. You want to grow the game, as we've talked about here, stop blacking everything out, but take it to the people.
Yeah. I saw some funny things too. I mean, there were a lot of people that said they hope that they can play in the Sandlot.
Right.
That would be cool.
I saw that a lot.
My favorite was going back to, I think is Cleveland Municipal Stadium, their old stadium, rebuilding that or having kind of a replica of that. And then having Charlie Sheen walk out and then
he really
could
wander around the field, not knowing where he is.
Yeah, and have him introduce
do that to you.
Have him introduce the game and all of that. So some fun too. The one thing that I thought with Tim Anderson is there was a lot of talk, and some people thought, oh, this is great. But he said he'd never seen the movie. He'd never seen Field of Dreams. And I'm sure that there were other players, and some people said, oh, that's even better. He hit the walk-off home run, and he hadn't even seen the movie. But I think that's sad because they should have done like a showing, like a screening of the movie so that those players who hadn't seen the movie understood the significance because it's one of the greatest baseball movies. One of my favorites.
All of this greatness going on, the one thought in my head as I'm looking at Tom Verducci in his park ranger hat.
Yeah.
Both Joe Buck and John Smoltz were dressed in period things. Now, here's the thing. Field of Dreams does not take place in 1919.
No.
While the team that was brought out, does that mean that Major League Baseball, because of a lot of stuff, and Fox as well, seemed to be supportive of the theme of Joe Jackson, of that time frame? Does that mean that they're forgiving the Black Sox of 1919?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Because
It
they
could
really
be.
grasped onto that. To me, I'm thinking this movie took place in the late 80s.
Yeah, 89.
Not 1919 or
Oh.
1920. So why were you guys dressed up as if, yes, I get it, this was supposed to be a field that was like that time, but that's not what the field looked like.
No, and
the field that they built, he had chain link up around the backstop and all that. And I know that this had to be different, but, and I like the whole idea, the rustic, the old, weathered barn for the batter's eye and the hand, I got that and the manual scoreboard, but are they forgiving at least Joe Jackson with all this stuff? Because they really played up that part. Are the White Sox now, were they, they're wearing the old uniforms. Were they supposed to be taking, that, so does that mean Tim Anderson was Swede Riesling, who was one of the main guys, at least per the movie, to do this, him and Chick Gandil? So Jose Abreu is Chick Gandil. So these are the two biggest, and then Joe Jackson out in left field. Was that what is it supposed to? Because if that's the case, open the Hall of Fame door and let him in. Let Buck Weaver in, whoever, And Charlie Sheen was in 8 Men Out, so he was the center fielder, Happy Chandler.
Oh, that's right. He was. So he could have come out and wandered
and made some bets on the game.
Yep.
Could have tried to get he could have been like Kevin Tigg and Doc Brown and set the game up for I don't know. Yeah. See, that's what I was wondering about. That was like the way that they did that. They're embracing that time frame, but that was a negative time frame for the Chicago team.
Yeah, it was. And I think, I don't know why because everyone in the stands were obviously not in period dress. And in the movie, because again, maybe they hadn't seen the movie. I don't know. When people find out about this, about this field, you see the line of cars coming in. It's not like those people dressed up in period clothing
or came back from
because
they would have had to come back and been ghost because holograms weren't available then.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know. It was a cool game.
I really enjoyed it too.
Yeah, I did too, and I know it brought a lot of people maybe who are maybe casual baseball fans or maybe not even fans really. They just kind of are sports fans, watched it. And so I think it was really good for the game. But yeah, there were some things that were a little weird. But overall, it was a lot of fun.
As far as the baseball goes, it was a great game. Back and forth. They stayed in it. The White Sox ended up losing that series with the Yankees because when they went back, the Yankees took the other two games. But the White Sox winning there was perfect because a lot of people there were Sox or Cubs fans there in Iowa. And like I said, the walk-off and the hit and the home runs into the corn.
Yeah. Where else are you going to see that?
That was good stuff. So the overall setting, the feel, what they did it right. Manfred didn't get in the way of this. It didn't get Manfreded up.
Yep.
So I would like to see it there again, but we'll see what happens. We mentioned just a few seconds ago Williamsport. To me, while this was a good thing for baseball, the Field of Dreams in Dyersville, I think Williamsport and the going there to for the Little League World Series and all that leads up to is a bigger thing for baseball than the Field of Dreams game was. And I found myself watching during the week regional stuff, and I'm more locked into that than I even was regular games or even like the College World Series. And I watched that pretty intently. These games, I was watching, the first one that I watched was the Western Regional matchup between Hawaii and was it Northern California? Yeah, Petaluma, the team that represents Northern California. There's a kid on the Hawaii team. They call themselves the H&L boys because they're from Honolulu. And there's a kid. There's always one kid somewhere that when you watch the game, he looks older than 12 because 12's the max age. And this one kid, he already looks like he can grow a mustache. And his name is Pele. And what I really liked about Pele was that he wants to meet Nolan Ryan. But they were a really good team. But I was like locked in there, and I used to go to games, the Western Regional games, because they're there in San Bernardino when I lived over that way, especially during the 80s when I was stationed out there, 80s, early 90s. I would go to some of those games, and at one point, when we were doing all the move stuff, we thought we were going to end up out closer to there, and I wanted to go. I wouldn't have been able to go because all the restrictions. You had to be family of the team to actually get to go and watch. But watching all of them, I was more involved with the Little League players than I was with any other level of baseball this year. And it's going to be cool because it's a little different this year. I know there'll be no international teams in this year's World Series. So the top two from each region will go. So I think I know you went and got all the specifics on it. What is there, like 16 teams that are going to participate in Williamsport this year?
Yeah, there's 16 teams, and they will they'll have two brackets, and if so 8 teams on the left side of the bracket will compete for the Hank Aaron Championship, and 8 teams on the right side of the bracket will compete for the Tom Seaver Championship before playing in the championship game. And that was a way for Little League Baseball to honor Hank Aaron and Tom Seaver, who sadly we lost. So in the Hank Aaron Championship bracket, it will be Hawaii, Nebraska, Michigan, Washington, Connecticut, New Jersey, Florida, and Texas. And in the Tom Seaver Championship, it'll be Tennessee, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Louisiana, Ohio, California, Oregon, and South Dakota. And it was funny, there's a kid that plays on the Hawaii team that, I guess, ambidextrous. He pitches with both hands.
What is that? The amphibious, as somebody
amphibious,
wrote.
Yeah. And but it was funny because when you look at things and people comment, you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. But people focused on that his favorite movie is Die Hard, and he's 12 years old. And that's what they're like, oh, great. I'm like, but hey, Die Hard's a good movie.
It's a Christmas movie.
That's right. Yippee-ki-yay, melon farmer.
Okay. Now you have to say melon farmer like Hans Gruber.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I'd have to practice that.
Yeah, next week, that's your assignment. Next week, I want to hear Hans Gruber saying yippee ki because he brings that up later with his accent.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that I got to say, and I'm excited about this, and not only that, but this year the major league teams, the Angels and the Indians will be playing there in Williamsport for their one game, and then they'll go back to Cleveland. They have, it's kind of cool. I ordered my hat because on the side of it says West with the state of California, which everybody that's there, if you're from the West region, normally that's what you wear, and their jerseys. So they wear West. I think the Indians will wear Midwest for the region that they're in, and they'll be next, not this Sunday, the following Sunday, they will be in Williamsport for that game, and which is kind of cool because the teams, the Little League players get to meet them and hang out and come to the game. And
I can already tell you they are going to have like major security around Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, there's going to be players. You know what? There's going to be how many? What's there? 26 players per team, and there's going to be, what's that, 52 total. There's going to be 51 players sitting around with nothing to do,
twiddling their thumbs,
because everybody's going to be going to see Shohei.
That's right. I would. That's what I'd be doing. I'd say Shohei, get my time, get my selfie, and then David Fletcher. That would be my.
Yeah.
I would do it
Jose
that way.
Ramirez, maybe from that.
Oh yeah,
and I'm sure some of the other players, they travel along. If Shane Bieber was there for the Indians, I would definitely want to stop in and see him if I was a little leaguer.
Yeah, it'll be cool. That's a fun game for the Little League Classic, for those teams to play and for the little leaguers to be able to have that are participating, have that experience.
Now, there is one thing that I noticed. Actually, two things that I noticed. They have replay there in Little League games. And maybe it's just for this regional and the Little League World Series, but they do have replay, and the umpiring is just as bad. I think some members of Angel Hernandez's family must be part of this, because there were some really bad calls. In fact, there was one a video I saw the other day of one kid who's like, it was so bad that he just stood there. He get backed out of the box, and he's like looking around. What am I supposed to do with this? There was nowhere near. That wasn't a strike. My dad's in the stands, and he caught the ball. That's how far out of the zone it was. But he threw his hands out to the side, like, what?
What is this? Yeah, get used to it, kid.
Yeah, if you're going to go any farther, get way used to it.
Well, the first Little League Baseball World Series was played in 1947 at Original Field at Memorial Park in Williamsport. And in the first Little League Baseball World Series, all the teams except for one were from Pennsylvania. And at the time, Little League only existed in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And a Williamsport area team called the Maynard Midgets won the first series. And then within a few years, word spread, and Little League was played in all 48 states. And the first Little Leagues outside of the 48 states were Panama, Canada, and Hawaii in 1950. You mentioned the international teams. In the 73-year history of the Little League Baseball World Series, international teams have won 37 championships, while teams from the United States have won 36. What state do you think has the most championships?
California.
Of course, California. That's where like the most MLB players, like the largest percentage of MLB players are from. They had 7, but Chinese Taipei is the country with the most titles with 17.
Wow. Not a surprise. I remember watching them, over the years, and they always seem to be right there. Wow. So yet another field of dreams. And a lot of these kids may end up maybe someday playing in Iowa on the actual Field of Dreams.
Right. We've seen Cody Bellinger was in the Little League World Series. Still looking the same.
No, not as baked.
Not as baked. One of the things that's interesting is that there are more games played in the 45-day tournament than in 6 full seasons of Major League Baseball. So this is in just one of the 7 divisions of Little League that culminate into the World Series tournament. And I remember growing up, I spent a lot of time at Little League fields, lots.
You would have even gone to the Western Regional Park, because the Little League that I played at, we weren't that far from where the Western Regionals were. They worked out a deal. We played 2 different games in one season there, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just like during our regular season. So you got to go there for that.
Yeah. And concession stands, always a favorite. What are those Chick-a-lick sticks? Those were my favorite.
Chico sticks.
Yeah, those were my favorite. And then of course
that when you smell certain things, it reminds you of, oh, that's fresh cut grass, or that's this.
Yeah.
Certain cafeteria foods. There's snack bar, and not just any snack bar, but Little League field snack bar foods.
Yeah.
You smell it and you go, oh, I feel like I'm at a Little League park.
Yeah. It's the best.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Pennant races heating up all over the place, including, or not, the Dodgers and the Giants, as it doesn't really seem to matter what the Dodgers do, because the Giants just keep on winning. And the Giants only tend to lose when the Dodgers lose, so that way they never lose any games in the standings. The Dodgers are not able to pick up. They did pick up 1 game. So instead of being 5 games back, they're back to their original 4 games back that they've been for quite a while. And the Dodgers had a great week.
They did. Their road trip, they went to Philadelphia and New York, and they're 5-1 on this road trip. It's probably one of the better road trips or maybe the best road trip of the season, it seems like. Yeah. Philadelphia, the first 2 games, rain delay, which the first game was Max Scherzer and Aaron Nola, and it was a pitcher's duel. And then It just poured down rain, and that ended the pitcher's duel. So Max Scherzer ended up only going 3 1/3, gave up 3 hits, no runs, had 6 strikeouts in those 3 1/3. Aaron Nola, 4 innings, 1 hit, 7 strikeouts, no runs. And the Dodgers don't like rain delays. They're not used to them. I don't even know if that I ever remember a rain delay at Dodger Stadium, like ever.
No,
There's been one. It's a long time. And so they don't like it. Trey Turner was talking about how the guys in the clubhouse were complaining. And of course, he's used to it because he played with the Nationals. And that's just a normal thing in the summer on the East Coast. Is it rains pretty much every afternoon in the evening. And that's what happened. But the Dodgers pulled off a win in that game, 5-0, because Corsier came up right after the delay was over, hit a home run. And that got him started and turned into a bullpen game. Not something that the Dodgers obviously wanted, something Max Scherzer obviously didn't want. But with
it actually is good for the Dodgers, because Aaron Nola was controlling them.
Oh, yeah.
And because of that delay, that's why Scherzer only went 3 1/3. Nola went 4 innings.
Yep.
But
yeah, it worked out to their advantage.
He already had 7 strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
And it had only given up 1 hit.
Yeah. So they, instead of complaining, they should have been thankful for the rain delay. The next night, another rain delay. David Price started this game. The Dodgers ended up winning 8-2. David Price. This rain delay wasn't as long. It was probably about 50 minutes or so. The rain delay the night before was a lot longer. But David Price went 5 innings and gave up 5 hits, or he went 4 innings, gave up 5 hits and 2 runs, had a strikeout and gave up a home run.
The Phillies played this one right as far as how they used their pitching staff. They knew there was a chance of a rain delay. So instead of throwing Kyle Gibson, who was the scheduled starter, he didn't come in till like the 3rd inning. He came in after the rain delay. So they used a couple of bullpen pieces, openers, if you will. And then once they came back from the rain delay, Kyle Gibson came in and pitched okay. Not great. I mean, he did give up 6 hits and 6 runs. And he came in the 3rd. Cody hit a home run on that. But they managed it better. And it should have worked. Kyle Gibson's been pitching pretty well since he got to Philadelphia from Texas. But it didn't work out for him. 8-2, I think you said, as you said, was the final. Will Smith, Matt Beatty, and then even David Price powering the offense. David Price hit a double.
Yeah, I think it was his first extra base hit ever.
Wow.
I think is correct. And we have to talk about, in the first game, the slide heard round the world. Trey Turner slide into home. And if you haven't seen it, you got to go watch it. And it's everywhere. It's been set to music now. I think Smooth Criminal is what people have.
That seems, I haven't seen that, but that seems right based on what he did. Because that's what a couple people tweeted, was like, this is how I imagine Michael Jackson would slide into home. It is very smooth.
It is. It's very smooth. But he just is like, yeah, that's how I always slide. This is what I do.
Yeah, I heard him. I heard him after the Sunday night game with the Mets. He was asked about that by the Sports Center guys, and Van Pelt and whoever was with him. They asked him about it. He goes, I've seen it now, but I really didn't. I just slid. It was like, and that's just how it worked out.
Yep, that's it. The last game of this series was a day game. The Dodgers lose this game 2-1. No rain delay. So that could have been the issue. They needed the rain delay. Mitch White was the starting pitcher. He went 4 innings, gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, did give up a home run to Bryce Harper, but he looked really good. For the most part when he went out there. So he's still, blowing his bubbles, chewing his gum, like nothing's going on. But overall, the series, the Dodgers came out of Philadelphia, won the series 2-1. And Cody Bellinger had some hits. The last game he was 0 for 3, but he's looking better in the box.
Yes, he is, but it seems like his defense is kind of falling off to the side a little bit.
Yeah, we saw that in New York. And it not only Cody Bellinger, I mean, he made some questionable plays, or what he was doing. It's just the Dodgers are, have not been playing defensively. They haven't been playing well. So,
but they're able to get the W's. So hopefully they can work out that rough patch with the defense. Trey Turner had some issues with misplaying some balls at second. I think he'll figure it out and get everything settled in. Now's the time to do it. If you can still win. I sense a theme here is that the Dodgers need something special to happen. So in 2 games in Philly, they had rain delays. They won. The 1 game they didn't have a rain delay, they lost.
yeah.
And then, of course, you called it out because they left Philadelphia, hopped on the train, headed into the city or near the city. They were in Queens. They were city adjacent to take on the Metropolitans. So they stopped the Phillies in their 8-game winning streak. The Mets, who've been on a slide, and I think that they're on their way to last place if the if the Nationals will let them have it, because they signed, even if it was to a minor league deal, they signed Josh Reddick.
I think that was
So
their
it's all
downfall. It's it. They have signed their death warrant right there.
If I'm a Mets fan, I go, Steve Cohen, you said you were all in. This shows me you're not all in. You're throwing
out.
in the towel. You're all out. So, as you mentioned last week, another Friday night. So it must be Zennings.
Yeah,
I think
what's
there's
that?
a whole new show coming from that on the Spectrum Sportsnet. Friday Night Zennings.
That's right. What's that Katy Perry song? Last Friday night we played Zennings. I don't know. I'd have to keep going, but
I don't listen to Katy Perry.
Well, I know someone who is a kitty.
You know what?
Cat.
I'll just say it. Planet Head is a Katy Perry fan.
Oh yeah.
Because I heard him the other day when we were talking about having our production meeting. He's back behind you singing something about being a firework.
Well, it was
the only Katy Perry song that you'll hear me singing is "I Kissed a Girl." And some about cherry chapstick or something. I don't remember all of it. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I think they could probably have a show Friday Night Zennings because it's another Friday. It's Friday the 13th. And it's Zennings. And the Dodgers, who have had a horrible record.
Can't believe they lost to the Mets.
Actually won this.
I know.
Zennings.
Because I just assume if they go to Zennings, they lose. It's like 1-run game.
It's just automatic. People turn off the TV. But no, they actually won. And they won 6-5. Julio was on the mound. 5 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Will Smith is now being called the governor of New York, as he seems to own the Mets. In this series, he hit 3 home runs. I don't think he wants to be the governor. I think he just wants to be Fresh Prince. And
which would put him back in Philly.
Right. Until he starts fighting, and then he's got to go.
Till his mom gets scared.
That's right.
That's why he's a Dodger, because he got sent out to live with his auntie and uncle in Bel Air.
Will Smith hits a 2-run home run, puts the Dodgers up 6-4, top of the 10th. Yeah, you're like, it's 6-4. Can they hold on? Can they hold on? Because they never can hold on in the Zennings. But they did. They held on, and Will Smith was the hero in that game. We did have Max, went 2 for 5. Chris Taylor, 3 for 5. JT had an RBI. Seager had an RBI in that game. Justin Brule, who looked good when we first saw him, I don't know. He doesn't like Queens, doesn't like Flushings, doesn't like Citi Field. I'm not sure what's going on. 2 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned runs, no strikeouts. So that's Blake Trinan was given the blown save, but it really was Justin Brule who blew it. Was not, because Blake Trinan came in and he had to mop up the mess. That was done. There also was, because it's Friday the 13th, a laser pointer someone had, and it went right across Max Muncy's face, and he noticed it, of course, and it was on some other players too, but they noticed it, called the game. So, just a lot of kind of weird things with the game, because Friday the 13th, the laser pointer, and it's New York. There were, I think the Dodgers' first 3 or 4 runs were all sac flies. They were all scored on sac flies.
Oh, yeah, that is kind of odd.
Yeah. So just an odd game there. Next night, it's Saturday. Dodgers win 2-1 in innings.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Couldn't believe it.
See, when I said there's things that just haven't happened, the Dodgers winning back-to-back 1-run games.
Yes,
in innings.
Yes.
And they were able to move the ghost runner over.
Yeah. That was the huge thing, because they have not been able to do that. They've not been able to figure that out. Walker Buehler was on the mound. He pitched 7 innings, gave up 4 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts. Did give up a home run, and that was to Michael Conforto. And then the bullpen came in, and they've looked really good. Alex Vesia, Skip Bickford, Corey Knebel. Nice to have Corey Knebel back. He looks good. And then Will Smith was another home run, tied it up 1-1. And an unlikely hero of this game, Cody Bellinger. He hit a double, which ended up being the winning run. And
right, because Corey was the ghost runner.
Yep.
And he scored. So once again, they were able to move over the ghost runner.
What if they, instead of having the actual runner, just put a hologram?
Works for me. Why not?
And you could just choose, like, yeah, I want Pete Rose, or I want, you just
no, I want somebody like really fast.
Ricky Henderson.
Right. That's what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah.
You'd for sure get the runner over. Now, I said going into this game that Taijuan Walker, who started for the Mets, was due to have a good outing. And you texted me at some point during the game, if the Dodgers lose, it's your fault.
That's right.
Because you jinxed them by saying Taijuan Walker it was due for a good outing. And he had a decent outing. 6 2/3, gave up 2 hits, 1 run, and that was a home run that he gave up. So,
yep, to the Fresh Prince.
Yep.
Yeah, I was concerned because it was 1-0, and it was stayed 1-0, and so I had to let you know that it was going to be on your head.
She had to assign blame somewhere, other than the fact that the Dodgers, if they lost, would have been because of something they didn't do, like driving a run or whatever.
No,
it could be just because I said he was due for a good outing. Oh, it's all your fault if they lose.
That's right.
The Sunday game was, I don't know, kind of typical Dodgers. At one time in almost every series, they have one breakout game. Usually. There's been a couple times they haven't. And Sunday would be it. Trey Turner went 3 for 4 and scored 4 runs in the 14-4 shellacking they gave the Mets for the sweep of this series. But they're going to have the Mets again in a week. And I feel bad for the Mets because they're trying to maintain in this Phillies, Braves, Mets race in the East. But they finish up getting swept by the Dodgers. Then they got to go play the Giants to start the week. And then they come to LA to finish up. So this weekend series will be the Mets and the Dodgers again after they just took on the Giants.
Yeah.
It's hard to stay to fight for your spot when this is like they've got a tough schedule.
They do. In Sunday's game, Max Scherzer was on the mound. He went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. And we did learn something about Max Scherzer, that when he comes off the mound into the dugout, you don't touch him. You don't talk to him. When he goes up to the plate, and he got a sac fly, scoring Billy McKinney.
His first RBI of the season.
You don't touch him. You don't say anything. And you just leave him alone. Doc is very handsy. He very, hey, good job. And does a good, hey, pats him on the butt, whatever. There's a great, when after Billy McKinney comes in, scores the run, they're walking back, and they always let the guy, who got the RBI, the home run, whatever, that produced that run, goes first into the dugout to be congratulated. And he walks in, and you can see Dave Roberts at the top of the steps. He turns his back away from him. And Will does not acknowledge him, does not touch him. And on the way to the dugout, Billy McKinney gives him a little tap. And then you see him put his arms out like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to touch you. Because he must have said something, which we can't repeat on air. But don't touch Max.
Once again, we choose not to.
Yeah, I don't say it on the air. But
you don't say it hardly any place. I'm the one. I'm the one that who would if somebody was going to say it, I would be the one that doesn't say melon farmer. So, all right. The only thing that Max Scherzer wasn't really able to do, other than he's the only one in the starting lineup that didn't get a hit on Sunday. He did get the sacrifice fly. Billy McKinney with a triple. Edwin Uceda, he got on base and scored a run.
Yeah, his first major league hit, and it was just a little blooper in infield there.
There were 2 pitchers. Edwin Uceda moved down the line pretty well. Jake Reed from the Met was down the line. I forgot that he was even pitching, because he got down the first base line so fast. I think they were even talking about it on the broadcast. I bet
like 4 seconds or something.
Yeah, his time running down there was like, Trey Turner or Ricky Henderson numbers, is how fast he got down the line.
Yeah.
It was pretty incredible. I think the only player that really had an issue out there as far as pitching goes was Nunez. Gave up 2 runs. Didn't look great. But lucky for him, everybody else was on. Max with 2 home runs. Will Smith with a home run again.
Gee.
JT? One in each game.
Yes, he hit 1 in each game. JT with a home run. I think he likes to hit home runs, have good games in against the Mets, because he can say, how do you like me now? That's right. Yeah, Corey Seager was 2 for 5. CT3 uncharacteristically 1 for 6, but he did get a double and an RBI in the game. And this is a question that was brought up. Should baseball have a mercy rule? Because we saw Kevin Pillar pitch. We saw 2 position players pitch.
Yeah, who came in because he replaced A position player.
I think it's Drury. I think his last name is Brandon Drury. I think that sounds right.
Sounds right.
And Matt Beatty hit a home run off of him. And you're like, is it really a home run if you hit it off of a position player? Trey Turner said in an interview that they don't like to face the position players because they don't really know what to do. It's like they strike out. You
take it as it's just like anybody. He's just a bad reliever.
Yeah. So now there is the question, should there be a mercy rule in the MLB?
No, there should not be. There
can
be, like in that game I was talking about with Hawaii and Northern California, there's a 10-run mercy rule, which Hawaii got to. And so they end the game. But in Major League Baseball, you're a pro. If you guys can't keep up, oh well, you're out of luck.
That's
Michael
it.
Conforto and Jonathan Villar, both 2 for 4 for the Mets. Not they just weren't able to. They kind of look like Dodgers in other times where they can't get their offense going.
Yeah, they get a hit there.
Wasn't terrible for most of the series, but
yeah. And Mookie Betts is on the IL. He has a bone spur in the hip area, so he has been getting injections, but he's still on the IL, so we'll see how that goes. Julio Urias is in that Saturday, or not Saturday game, I'm sorry, the Friday game. He was hit on the calf, so he had a contusion, but he shouldn't be out too long. But
just
he
some
is
time
on
to let it
IL.
kind of heal up and drop the soreness.
And the Dodgers signed, trying to make a comeback. It was Cole Hamels, and it's like, all right, let's see. I guess he did a showcase and signed a deal with the Dodgers, and he will never pitch for the Dodgers. He was thrown from the mound, had arm pain, and they put him on the 60-day IL. So they
effectively ending his Dodger career.
Yeah.
Well, it's not bad for a week's worth of work. He still gets the $1 million that they signed him for. So he still gets something out of it.
Yeah.
All right. So like I said, the Mets will be coming to Dodger Stadium for the weekend. They have Pittsburgh. They've got the Pirates earlier in the week. A team that you can't take lightly. You should beat them easily, but it's still an MLB team. They do have major league talent on that team. They still can sneak up and beat you. So they need to pay attention to that. And that's one thing as you get into the race here. There are teams we'll talk about in around the league. I got a few matchups. And one of them I picked specifically because in a pennant race, even when you're playing the worst teams, you got to watch out because you get all these wins now count. All right, who did you select for this week's Player of the Week for the Dodgers?
So I had a couple of choices, but ultimately I went with the Fresh Prince, Will Smith. He was 7 for 19, 368 batting average, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs. So he is my Player of the Week.
He had a sacrifice fly.
Of course, yes.
4 times and then 2 hit by pitches. He was also my Player of the Week. I guess you could say it was a standard week for the Angels. So the last homestand before they head out on the road for a decent road trip. They had the Blue Jays in and then the Asterix. Now, on the first game with the Blue Jays, the very first game, there was a doubleheader to start everything off. They had a 3-game series set up anyway. So the first game, the Blue Jays reverted back to the somewhere in Florida Blue Jays because it was a makeup game from early in the season where they lost one out to weather somewhere in Florida. So Toronto was the home team and the Angels had no issue beating them supposedly somewhere in Florida.
Yeah, and as the home team, I have to give kudos to the stadium personnel that work the scoreboard and the little tidbits about the players, because I don't know which player it was, but it was his favorite, food or whatever it is, and it was spelled the way they spell it in Canada. So then it's not
But
how we
they messed
say
up.
it. They messed up
because they weren't from Canada.
Oh,
when
that's
they
right. They were
played
from
them.
Florida.
They were somewhere in Florida.
So they did. Never mind. No kudos. No kudos.
It's cool though that they would have put that like spelling favorite with a U.
Yes.
Or whatever. That's cool. We got to give them props for that. But
you're
they're
correct.
not at that moment. They're not the Toronto Blue Jays.
They were
now
somewhere in Florida.
In the night game, the second game of the doubleheader, they were the Toronto Blue Jays, but they were no longer the home team.
No, and so it reverted back to this.
Who cares about what his favorite food is?
So we don't.
It's the Angels' home game from here on out.
That's
so
right.
They did take that one. So I believe that means they won the series from somewhere in Florida, and then they proceeded to lose the series somewhere in Orange County.
Yeah, in that first game, the first game of the somewhere against the somewhere in Florida Blue Jays, Raisel Iglesias did get his 25th save, and Justin Upton.
Chris Rodriguez was called up to start that, went 4 innings, gave up 6 hits, the 1 run, 2 Ks, not looking too bad. He was sent back down after that and is now on the AAA IL. So don't know when he's going to be coming around. Marcus Semien for the Jays, great game, 3 for 4, 2 doubles. And a name that you want to remember, and I think at one point we said this is a name you want to remember on an earlier episode. Teoscar Hernandez went 2 for 3, and he had another big moment in the series. We'll talk about that in a second. Phil Gosselin, the Goose, was loose in this game, and Jaya both 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs in that game. So with a 6-3 win, and it was only 7 innings. And then the night game, also 7 innings. They lost that one 4-0. Shohei was moved into the leadoff spot. He got a triple in that game. They only the team only had 3 hits. A lot of people wondering why Shohei's been moved up into the leadoff. Any ideas?
Because Joe Maddon likes to shake things up.
Well, he likes that, but what he said, and it makes a lot of sense. And there's a lot of talk about this, about protection in a lineup, batting people in certain places. And then a lot of experts have come out and said that's a myth. That there's, yes, exactly. But in this case, he really doesn't have anybody else. So if he's batting second or third in the lineup, even though David Fletcher, who normally would hit in front of him, there's nobody really behind him, even if J-Up's there, because J-Up is very inconsistent. So he moved him to the first to the leadoff so that the pitchers have to throw to him because he's not getting anything. They're pitching him away. They're pitching him down. They're
walking
pitching
him.
A lot of walks. So he's not getting anything to hit. So if you put him in a position where they have to pitch to him, so that's why he's been moved into the leadoff spot. And that started in that game. Jose Suarez went just over 5 innings, 7 hits and 4 runs. He was matched up against Ross Stripling, who only pitched 2 innings.
Yeah, only. That's it. And it's sad for Ross Stripling because he did receive his World Series ring, but no one was home at Chavez Ravine, and he got his ring, which he's happy about, but it was very
Andrew
uneventful.
Friedman was probably there, but he probably didn't want to talk to Andrew Friedman because Andrew's the one that didn't re-sign him or tender him a contract. So
they're like, oh, you're going to be in Anaheim. We'll send a courier with the ring.
Well, it's nice. At least they did it close by and didn't just UPS it to him and
and get lost.
wherever. We don't know where you're at. You're somewhere in Florida. You're in Buffalo. Now you're in Toronto. UPS is just not following you where you go. Bo Bichette, decent game. And a guy, once again, named Teoscar Hernandez, contributed pretty well for them. Now, last week, we talked about Dylan Bundy having a really good outing. This week, we cannot have the same conversation. He kind of returned back to this season's form. He only threw 4 innings, gave up 4 hits and 3 runs, 2 home runs, 1 to Lourdes Gurriel. And we'll talk a little bit about a connection he had with the next series. And then, of course, George Springer, who has that similar connection. They both hit those home runs. Alek Manoah, we talked about him earlier this year when he debuted, and how his mom became anorexic because she didn't eat because the kids needed to eat. And then she was working 17 jobs so that her kid could play Little League Baseball.
I don't know if it's that dramatic. I think 15 jobs.
The Blue Jays actually brought her to the game, but Alek, he didn't even buy her mom a jersey. He's like, Mom, you're going to have to make it on her. Who was it? Who's it? The player that the player's not giving his mom any money from all that he's made. I've read this a couple of times recently. I wish I could remember.
It wasn't a player. It was Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, that's right. It was a director. He's a player. He's a player. He's a Hollywood player.
Yeah.
He's a player.
Anyway,
he had a good outing, 6 2/3, gave up 5 hits, 2 runs, one of those being a home run. And George Springer hit 2 home runs in that game. It's just like, and Teoscar Hernandez in the 10-2 win, which was game 3. Yes, hit a grand slam
off of my player of the week for last week. So
Sammy
if I
Sosa.
jinxed it, I apologize to the Halo Nation.
Yeah, it was bound to happen. Hernandez was just having a great series, and it's going to happen. Somebody would have thrown it. Might as well have been Selman. Joe Adell did go 2 for 4. Shohei 2 RBIs and a home run, so he continues to lead in home runs. The final sit of the series was a 6-3 victory. Shohei on the mound, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs. Iglesias, Rizel came in, but it was a non-save situation, but he did come in and shut him down. Jared Walsh back from the IL, 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. There were 4 doubles. Shohei, Brandon Marsh, Kurt Suzuki, and Jose Iglesias. Adell went 1 for 3 with a run. He's starting to look like he's got a clue. He had a pretty incredible catch. He playing left field. He seems more comfortable in left field than he does in right. We'll see if it continues on. They had to take on Jose Barrios, who they thought they would only see once this season when he was with the Twins, but then they had to face him again. But they beat him. He went 4 1/3, 8 hits, 6 runs. The bullpen shut everything down, though. No runs, only gave up 3 hits. So they end up losing the actual series there. But in the games, they split it 2-2 of the games that were played this week, which brought Lourdes Gurriel and George Springer's former teammate and Lourdes Gurriel's brother in the Houston Asterix to Angel Stadium, where they pretty much had standard. We're at the bottom of the pile in our division, and the other team's at the top, so the other team win.
Yeah, the Angels lost the first 2 games. First game 4-1. Patrick Sandoval pitched in that game, gave up all 4 runs over the 4 2/3 innings that he pitched. But I will say Jose Altuve was 0 for 4, and that's always notable in that game. In the second game, the Angels lost 8-2, but Shohei had another home run. And, a little bit, there's, not a lot of offense, but there was still.
Not a lot of offense for the Angels.
Right.
Something that we need to point out is that on game 1, Kyle Tucker with a grand slam. So with the Blue Jays in town, grand slam by Teoscar Hernandez. The Asses come to town. Kyle Tucker with a grand slam. The next night, 8-2, no offense really for the Angels, but Jake Myers hits 2 home runs in that game, one of them being his first ever grand slam. So in the week, they had 3 grand slams. We were all worried that game 3, the announcers and everything, we were all worried that in game 3, the Sunday game, that they were going to load the bases and somebody was going to hit another grand slam. Luckily, Reed Detmers did not let that happen.
Yeah, and Kyle Tucker hit the grand slam, and then the next day is on the COVID list. So
he had COVID power
works.
for 1 game and then was done.
That's it.
So Reed Detmers gets his first win, went 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, struck out 6. He gave up the home run to Michael Brantley. But other than that, he was on it, and it was versus Lance McCullers Jr., who pitched pretty well overall. But the Angels were able to get some things going. Brandon Marsh, 2 for 4. Phil Gosselin, 2 for 4. 2 runs RBI. He had a double and a home run. Shohei could have broke the game open, struck out with the bases. So he could have at least added an Angels grand slam. He doesn't have any grand slams in his career, whether it be in Japan or
crazy.
Here.
That's crazy.
I know, right?
It's the same thing as when Justin Turner hit his first grand slam. He's been in the majors 10 years. Shohei should have at least had 1.
Sure, you would have thought at least 1 at some point. Never had 1. The Angels have another, what?
And to say, in the last game, Altuve 0 for 5, Correa 0 for 4, Gurriel 0 for 3. Those are what we like to see.
Now, I want to bring this up. Lourdes Gurriel, I'm watching the game, and I knew they were related. Somehow I didn't realize they were brothers, but I knew that. But it wasn't, I'd forgotten about it until Lourdes with the Blue Jays took his hat off, and he's got the same hair.
He does. It's exact same. It's the same hair. And now, with this is going back to Toronto, the Toronto series. George Springer is there, and he got booed. And we talked about, hey, he's on the Blue Jays now. You don't really, you kind of forget about it. The Angels fans and others. There were a lot of other fans. There were some Yankees fans that showed up, at least, and they were booing him as well. And then they showed up again for the Asterix.
What was I was listening to one of the games, and it was I was listening on the radio, and they made a point to say, "Oh, it looks like Correa snuck up there because there were no boos."
Yeah.
And then they said they were wondering if maybe people because it was later in the game. They're like, maybe they're just kind of running out of steam with it. Or it's like, okay, we gave him our best earlier. We don't care anymore.
Maybe.
I don't care. Anytime about.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and maybe they figured out that he feeds off of that. And if they just don't say anything, it's,
And he was over on Sunday.
Yep.
All right. The Angels have another crazy week. They should have had Monday off, but instead, as they start the road trip, they're going to go to the Bronx for a makeup game with the Yankees before they head to Detroit, followed up by a trip into Cleveland, which will also include their the Little League Classic game. And then they're going to go following week. They're going to head to Baltimore before they come back home. So they've got a fairly decent road trip. Players of the week.
My player of the week is Reed Detmers. He this is his 3rd start, and really like him. And he is just showing he 6 innings pitched, as you mentioned, 6 strikeouts, gave up the home run, but he's out there, 3rd start, and he just seems to be getting better and feeling more comfortable. And I just felt like he really deserved it this week.
He's pitching against better hitters. He's not seeing a lot of late in the game, maybe not great teams. He's not facing up against the Rangers and the Orioles and those kind of teams where your best hitters are not, they don't have a whole team of them. Whereas like the Asterix and the Blue Jays have a lot of guys who can put the wood on the ball. The Asterix especially, they lead the West. So he had to face a lot of guys, and he really took control of that game. He is one of my two. I have co-MVPs this week. Reed Detmer's got his, and then Brandon Marsh. 7 games, went 8 for 21 with a .381 batting average, had a double and scored 3 runs. I like how he plays in the defensively. He's sharp. I don't know. I read a story and they called him a phenom. I wouldn't call him a phenom, but he's definitely solid there. And I could see why it's beginning to look like Mike Trout might come back to say right field or left field because Brandon Marsh just got the younger legs. And Joe Adell seems to be showing he can do in left field. So what does that mean for Justin Upton? We'll see. Because those two guys have both been playing so well, Adam Eaton was DFA'd. So his short tenure with the Angels. See if he ends up someplace else. Somebody might sign him.
Yeah, I could see him being signed somewhere else, but I would like to see him maybe as a coach, because I was watching, they were showing some footage of him before the game working with Joe Adell and Brandon Marsh out in the outfield. And I think he could really be a good coach.
Well, maybe if nobody picks him up, they'll consider that. That's cool when you have veterans that are willing to do that, especially when they're still trying to make it a go in their own career. Busy week around the league, especially with all of the pennant races heating up, like the Orioles and the Nationals when they play each other. Wow, fired up.
Edge of your seat baseball right there.
Yes, indeedy. This week, Players of the Week for the AL and the NL. One of them we've been talking about, the AL MVP.
Teoscar Hernandez. I don't know if you've heard that name before, but he
Just
is
3 minutes ago, or however long.
This is the 3rd week that a Blue Jay has been named Player of the Week. Previously, the previous 2 weeks was George Springer. Hernandez had a huge week. It included 8 runs scored, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs. He led all of AL players in batting average at 500 hits and at 14 and total bases at 25.
Yeah, hit 500 and had that grand slam. And then, as usual, when something like this happens, that player becomes the Player of the Week. This time he is a USC Trojan as well as an Arizona Diamondback.
Tyler Gilbert is the NL Player of the Week following a historic performance on Saturday when he became the 4th player to throw a no-hitter in his first career start.
The first one since 1953. That would have been Bobo Holloman.
Yeah.
Bobo was the last one to throw a no-hitter in his very first start until Tyler Gilbert did that. Third no-hitter in Diamondbacks history. And he walked 3. He had 3 walks. I was going to say walked 3 players, but that wouldn't be true.
Well, and he had 3 walks and 5 strikeouts across 9 innings.
Right.
So
well, the 3 walks all came to Tommy Pham.
That's right. Tommy Pham was the only Padre that ever touched a base in that game. He was great. And it was really cool to watch. I was able to see the last inning and watching his dad, that, I don't know, that
I'm not crying, you're crying.
That's right. I was, there must have been onions or somebody was chopping onions and I was too close. His dad was really cool.
Was very emotional with that. That's got to be incredible to see your son pitching. Just the idea that he's pitching his very first game, and then it turns out to be a no-hitter. And all I could think was, my God, Tyler Gilbert is now in the same echelon as Bumpus Jones, who threw his no-hitter in his very first try back in 1892. So Bumpus and Bobo and Tyler, they're all together.
Yes, they'll always be together in that group.
We'll be together like no hitter on our first try. And he's a Trojan. So fight on, Tyler Gilbert. All right. And another thing that hasn't happened in a while happened this weekend. The Marlins swept the Cubs for the first time since 2012.
Yeah, those poor Cubs, they got rid of everybody. Like I said, on the Will of IL last week, I think it was Jason Hayward, maybe the one Cub that their name. It's not like Cheers. Everybody knows your name. Not anymore. Not at Wrigley Field. And they've lost 12. They're on a 12-game losing streak.
Wow,
and the Marlins helped.
Aspiring to be the Diamondbacks or the Orioles, who have had long losing streaks like that.
Yeah. So
I think the last time I saw something about the Orioles, they had lost 11 in a row. So speaking of the Orioles, former Oriole Chris Davis is now a retiree. However, he has a pretty sweet contract deal that's going to keep him being paid for quite a while.
Yeah, he still has 1 year on his 7-year, $161 million contract that he had signed. All I can think of is he called J.G. Wentworth, and they structured his settlement for him. He will receive $3.5 million payments each year from 2023 to 2032. with an additional $1.4 million coming each year from 2033 to 2037.
So he called 877 cash now.
Yes.
And he and Bobby Bowe are both going to be getting paid for years to come.
So there will be a Chris Davis Day, just as there is a Bobby Bonilla Day. Yeah, Chris Davis decided to retire after he had hip surgery in May that ended his season. And he was like, sitting at home, watching reruns, and J.G. Wentworth commercial came on, and he's like, wait a minute, I got an idea here. And so it'll work out for him. Doesn't have to do much.
That's perfect. Big changes in the central of the AL. No, it's not that anybody's swapping spots. The White Sox are running away with everything. The Cleveland Indians are hoping that they'll have better days as Guardians as their team starts to fall apart. They still don't have Shane Bieber back, but I guess he's working on it. In that, the Tigers have quietly moved into second place. They're still like 11 games out, but they've been playing better. They were in last place at one point, and they are waiting, and it could happen versus the Angels, for Miggy Cabrera to join the 500 home run club.
Yeah, and I feel bad for him because he has a lot of pressure on him. I was watching, most of the time I stream the games that when I watch the Dodgers, but they happen to be on the Mets series with the Dodgers was on MLB Network 2 nights, and then they were the Sunday night game for ESPN. And every time Miguel Cabrera got up, they cut away, and he would walk, strike out, ground out. And I thought, just leave him alone. And then of course the crowd is Miggy, Miggy. And it's it's like, stop, don't stand up. When he hits it, then you can stand up and cheer, but give the guy some space.
Right.
You know? It's like, come on.
Crazy. Another guy that got a lot of cheers was Chris Sale, who after 2 years away, having Tommy John surgery, came back through 5 innings, 89 pitches, gave up 6 hits, 2 runs, struck out 8 in a 16-2 win over the Orioles, which leads me to wonder, why didn't he just go do a rehab start in Single A?
Yeah.
And it helps it's good for his confidence that his team had staked him a lead and was supportive like that. But I guess he got a lot of applause, a lot of cheers from when he came out for warmups. The Boston faithful were very happy to see Chris Sale come back. And if he continues to pitch like that, Boston set themselves up nicely for the playoffs. Of course, they're going to be playing the Yankees this week, so that's a big playoff implication series
and atmosphere. It's just a crazy game. And Kyle Schwarber was back for the Red Sox and already was making an immediate impact there. So so we'll see, because they are in a race with Tampa Bay. They are 3.5 games back right now. The Red Sox are. So, and
the Yankees are surging up right behind them.
Yep. Should be good.
Corbin Burns from the Brewers had quite the night. He had 15 Ks versus the Cubs. So does that really matter? Does it count?
Yeah. Is there a mercy rule? No.
And then he
comes. But he's a real pitcher.
8 innings.
Yeah.
The big thing wasn't the 15 home runs. The big thing was he did 10 in a row. And this year, Tom Seaver held the record since 1970 for 10 consecutive strikeouts. So for 51 years, only Tom Seaver had done that. This season alone, Aaron Nola's done it back in June, I think. And now Corbin Burns with the Off the Hook Brewers is on that list.
Another milestone for Cincinnati Reds is Joey Votto, who we seem to be talking about a lot. He got his 2,000th hit. Good job.
And didn't he get his 2,000th hit, his 1,000th RBI, and something else? And it's all happened in the same season. He's like the only player to ever have that happen in one season.
Yeah, so he has reached 3 major milestones this season. He reached 300 home runs, and then he got his, that was in April. In June, he got his 1,000th RBI, and then he got his 2,000th hit. So all happening in this season.
Pretty incredible. And resurgence. I think some of his numbers, he's with the younger players now. There's all these younger guys, and then Joey Votto, who's like, 46 now, I think? 50? I don't know. But he's really, Joey's really tearing it up these days. Another player in red, same division, he's a Cardinal, Adam Wainwright. Had something that I think I'd heard the term before, but you don't hear it, so you forget about it. He threw a Maddox.
A Maddox? What's a Maddox? I mean, I know Greg Maddox, but...
Well, that's exactly what it is. If you throw a complete game shutout at 100 pitches or less, that's called a Maddox.
Oh.
After Greg. This is Wainwright's 27th complete game, but he threw a shutout and only 88 pitches. Plus, he had 2 hits of his own and an RBI. So he threw a Maddox. It was a career accomplishment. It's been many years since somebody's done that. Named after Greg Maddox. Interesting fact, Greg's older brother Mike Maddox is the pitching coach of the St. Louis Cardinals, and he was there on hand to see Adam Wainwright pitch a Maddox. Another really cool pitching feat almost happened when Tristan McKenzie of the Indians went 7 2/3 innings perfect. And if not for a base hit by Harold Castro of the Tigers, he was only 4 outs away. He would have had a perfect game, and it would have been 9 years to the day that Felix Hernandez of the Mariners threw the last perfect game in MLB history. He still got the shutout win. He didn't finish the game. They brought in their closer to finish it up in the 9th, but he did finish out the 8th, and it got 11-0 one hitter. So Tristan McKenzie. A couple other things that have happened before. One recently, the other one not in a while. Would have been Fernando Tatis Jr. came back off of the IL, and as he's done 2 other times this year, first game back off the IL, hit a home run in the game, the first game back.
Boring.
And this one he hit 2.
Yeah. And
Oh,
he
by the
still
way,
does his stutter step around third. I hate it. I hate it.
He did. Yeah, both times. We didn't mention this, I don't think. Tyler Gilbert threw his no-hitter against the Dregs.
Yeah. That's probably even, he hit a no-hitter, went to USC, and it was against the
It's
Dregs.
a trifecta.
It is. It is. We mentioned, there aren't a lot of players on the Cubs that you know who they are. Jake Arrieta, we used to know as a Cub, is no longer a Cub. He was released, and not really sure is it because of his ERA being over 6, or was it because he told a reporter who was on a Zoom call to take his mask off. Not really sure what happened. Just weird.
I think it's performance-based completely.
I think it's so too. I think it was that's just something to throw in there. People are always looking for something. But anyway, doesn't matter. He is a former Cub now and is now a Dreg. And he will start this week.
Well, we'll see him then. Another thing that hasn't happened in a long time, thanks to the Romine brothers.
Yeah, one was a catcher, one was a pitcher in the same game, and they pitched and caught each other.
Battery mates.
That's right. Hasn't happened since 1962.
Now, Austin is a catcher. Andrew started the game at shortstop. So he was a position player that came in to pitch, but he did pitch to his brother. And it's the 16th brother battery. And it's the first time since 1962 when Larry and Norm Sherry did it for the Dodgers.
Larry and Norm.
Yep. I always knew about Norm Sherry. Didn't really know much about his brother. Another crazy thing that I saw during this last week, Oakland blanked the Indians 17-0. Now, we could have inserted football joke here, but there's no football team in Oakland.
And the Cleveland Browns are looking good.
They still could have been blanked.
They could have still been blanked, but they're going to be, the team. If, when I follow the football, that's the team I follow, mainly because of Baker Mayfield, a former Sooner. He's my guy.
Yeah. You should be watching, what's his name out of Arizona. That's the one to watch, not Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's good in the commercials, but Kyler Murray's the one to watch. He's gonna do something, I think, before Baker Mayfield does.
I don't know, but talk about baseball,
but it's
so
another Sooner.
it is another Sooner.
And Kyler Murray could have been a baseball player.
He could
So
have. So it all goes into our podcast, but I still like Baker. All right. Brandon Crawford signed a 2-year extension with the San Francisco Giants. So he will be in orange and black for a while.
Or he'll be in orange and white with faded gray.
Yeah.
Fog.
With the fog. For a couple more years. The fog.
For a few more years. I was looking at team stats.
Yeah.
And one of the team stats on Baseball Reference or StatCast is how many players a team has used during the season. And generally, at least from what I see, the teams that tend to have the most players used are the ones that are having issues with injuries.
Yeah.
Or, they're the lower teams that they're running a lot of people through because they're trying to get people experience. What I noticed was that the players who have used the most, the teams that have used the most players this year, the Brewers, who we know have had injury issues, with 60, and the Mets, who definitely have had issues, have used 60. The Cubs at 59, the Mariners at 59, the D-backs have used 58, the Dodgers at 56, and the Angels at 54. And I thought, okay, well, who's at the bottom of that list? And I was expecting to see maybe teams that are having decent years and are in the races.
Yeah.
But what I found that only 2 of the bottom 4 are in a race. The other 2 are at the bottom of their divisions.
Huh.
So the White Sox and the Red Sox have used 45 and 42 players. We know there's been issues with injuries to some of the big names, but apparently whoever's come in to replace them have not gone down. They haven't had a lot of turnover. And then the Royals and the Rockies. The Rockies have only used 40 players this year.
Huh.
You would expect they would have used a lot more.
Yeah.
But
they haven't. And they beat the Dregs because they like playing at home.
And then the Royals, who at one point were leading the Central, are now at the bottom. The Twins no longer have the distinction of being the last place team in the Central. So I was wondering about all that and how all that worked out in connection with the Wheel of Fire.
So Jacob deGrom has been a name on our IL for a while, but he will continue on the IL. He did go and see a doctor in LA, and the doctor has shut him down for another 2 weeks. The inflammation is getting better, but doctor's orders, no throwing for 2 weeks, and then he will be reevaluated.
Now, I heard them talking about him being down so far for about 5 weeks and wondering what that effect will be on him not throwing at all for that time frame, especially for a team that's looking to get into the playoffs. Will he be able to pitch? What will happen? And it made me think too, we don't know what's going to happen with Trevor Bauer. And I'm sure that he's maintaining some sort of a throwing regimen, but he hasn't pitched in 2 months or nearly. By the time he's done with this, it'll be a full 2 months, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I doubt he's going to be reinstated, but will it matter if he could come back and play? Because he hasn't competed since July 2nd.
Right. That's a good question. And then with the Mets, they are really hoping that Noah Syndergaard will be back in September. And maybe they're banking on that because of they're not sure, what's going to happen with DeGrom. So But we'll see.
But he's having
if
his
he's back.
issues too.
Right.
He's not having a good rehab.
No, he is not. The Dodgers, when they were in Philly, they missed the surging Reese Hoskins, who was just hitting everything, and he is on the IL with a left groin strain, so that could have worked in the Dodgers' favor there. Carlos Rodon, left shoulder inflammation or just soreness. He is on the IL. Johnny Cueto on the IL with a right flexor strain.
Ouch!
And then John Curtis, he was traded from Miami to Milwaukee because the Brewers needed bullpen help, and he has a torn UCL in his throwing elbow. No
pitching help.
No pitching help. Yu Darvish of the Padres is on the 10-day IL with back soreness. And then Drew Pomerantz of the Padres, he will have surgery, and he's going to miss the remainder of the season. So one of the reasons why the Padres went after Jake Arrieta. And Dinelson Lamet has been on the IL, continues. He has a forearm. He's a pitcher, forearm, but he underwent a procedure to clean out a hip infection.
Ouch!
So his progress is, not great there. And then George Springer is also, he's day-to-day. So we're going to watch this because he hurt his ankle. And
rolled it on a play at the wall.
Yep, rolled it. So they say he's making good improvement, but we'll see. Does he have more shows to binge watch? Is he missing out on something?
He's like, everybody's watching Virgin River. I got to watch that. It's only 3 seasons, so I'll just have a little injury.
Just a little injury. And I do want to mention, before I wrap up the IL, Marcell Ozuna, who has been on the IL since May, but then while he's been on the IL, has also gotten himself into trouble. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office has dropped a felony charge of aggravated assault strangulation against Ozuna, but he will be prosecuted on a misdemeanor charges of family battery, violence, and simple assault in connection with his arrest on May 29th. And that was from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. So we will not see Marcell Ozuna with the Braves, and they don't need him.
No, obviously not, as the Braves have found themselves in first place thanks to the Dodgers' handling of the Phillies and the Mets. The Mets continue to fall. The Phillies are in second place, and the Braves, well, we'll see what they do. Some series we want to watch this weekend, perhaps. We already talked about the Red Sox, Yankees, that the Mets are taking on the Giants and the Dodgers. The A's and the White Sox. The A's are fighting. The White Sox have their place, it seems, pretty much locked in. The A's are fighting to overtake the Asses so that they can win the West. The A's also play the Giants. It'll be big for both teams, as like we know, they're both trying to get in the playoffs. The Phillies will visit the Padres. So that's going to be another key matchup with playoff implications. And then here's one that I kind of mentioned earlier that you have to watch out for, especially for a team like the Braves. The Braves will be playing the Orioles, and the Orioles have some guns. They got Cedric Mullins. They've got Anthony Santander and others that they can win some games. The Braves have played on that edge, and even though they're in first place, this could be a series that could make or break them in their playoff run versus the Phillies. I think I'm about ready to stick a fork in the Mets simply because they got Reddick.
I do want to mention the wild card because that has changed. We talked about it last week. Boston is a half game up, but the Yankees are 1.5 games. And so that series that's coming up between the Yankees and the Red Sox is going to be really important for that wild card race. And then in the National League, you have the Dodgers that are at +7, but Cincinnati 1.5 games behind behind the dregs. So another one to watch. And with the way Cincinnati, especially how Joey Votto's been playing, will he be able to help, propel his team into a wild card spot? That'll be really interesting to see. Also, Milwaukee and St. Louis. Milwaukee is 4 games back behind Cincinnati in that wild card. Milwaukee obviously is top of the Central, so that's another series.
Yeah, I don't think St. Louis is going to make that run, but yeah, maybe. Cincinnati, though, definitely, and I would love to see them push the dregs out of it all. So before we wrap things up, we want to mention one of our new favorite minor league teams, if for no other reason than the fact that they have their team name is illustrated across the butt of their pants with a big giant crab and ready to get you. The Crabzillas.
Yes, it's the Pensacola Crabzillas. Usually they are the blue Wahoos, but they are the Crabzillas, and they have got the coolest uniforms, or ugliest, or whatever you want to say. I think they're cool.
Fun.
But yeah, right across the backside of every player is a Crabzilla. And what can be better than that? They're bright orange. You can't miss them. And they're pretty cool. So when they had this idea to become the Crabzillas and they put these uniforms together, they said, Pensacola said, it's the worse than we could have imagined, but it's better than we could have dreamed.
And that'll do it for this week's Sibling Rivalry Baseball podcast.
Remember, you can find us on our website, siblingrivalrybb.com, and on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB.
We're also on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A. Email us, show@siblingrivalrybb.com. We'd love to hear what you think, so subscribe and rate us wherever you listen to our podcast.
Next week on SRBB, with a quarter of the season left, which teams will go the distance and which ones will be at home easing their pain?
And who's going to go hang out with Moonlight Graham? I would have switched it to the groove line. We're riding on the groove line tonight. Ooh, ooh.
How you like me now?